following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy. Here in the United States, this is a Walgreens exclusive deluxe class Autobot Minerva. So for those of you who are not familiar with who Minerva is as a Transformers character, she is one of 3 Transformers in the Generation 1 line who came to be known as the Headmaster Juniors. The others were Autobot Cab, who was renamed Hosehead by Hasbro, and the other one was Goshooter. I can't remember if Goshooter was given a new name by Hasbro or if he was even released here in the United States. The action figure in the original Generation 1 line that Takara Tomy released as Minerva, Hasbro released it as a male Transformers character named Nightbeat. And to this day, Minerva has the honor of being the first female Transformers character to be given an actual fully transforming action figure in the Generation 1 line, even though she was a Japanese exclusive when she was released in 1988. And because Hasbro repainted her into Nightbeat and released it as a separate character, for years, Transformers fans and collectors didn't believe Hasbro would ever release an action figure of Minerva here in the U.S. And when it was announced that we were getting a deluxe class figure of Minerva in the Legacy line, albeit as a Walgreens exclusive, a lot of Transformers fans and collectors were very excited for that. One thing I mentioned this in my review, and I actually showed off Minerva in her box when I did my review of Legacy Red Cog. Hasbro, the last piece of packaging for the Transformers Legacy figures that was made of plastic was this part up here, the C-clip hip hangers that the boxes hang from on the pegs at Walmart and Target stores. But Red Cog, who is a Target exclusive, and Minerva here, who is a Walgreens exclusive, they were the first Legacy and only Legacy figures to have plastic hooks to hang from the pegs. And it's been revealed that year 2 of the Legacy line, which is being titled Legacy Evolution, the plastic hooks that the boxes hang from on the pegs are going to be done away with, and Hasbro and Takara Tomy are going to make them exclusively out of cardboard from now on. So packaging on Transformers figures will be 100% plastic free and will be made entirely of cardboard and tape. So Minerva and also along with Red Cog were previews of what had a future boxes of Transformers action figures come packaged in by having the peg clip made out of cardboard as well instead of plastic. Now, Minerva here is not a brand new mold. She is a repaint of Legacy Deluxe Class Wave 2 Elita-1. The only differences are she has a new robot mode head, and she has a different sculpted accessory piece part for her alt mode. Unlike Elita-1, who had an antenna on the top on the roof of her vehicle mode, Minerva has a light bar siren on the top of her vehicle mode, and Minerva is a first emergency responder type vehicle. I don't know if she's supposed to be the fire chief's car or an ambulance type rescue vehicle that they have in Japan. But yeah, you get the idea. Yeah, Minerva is like a first emergency responder vehicle. That's what her alt mode is. So there's her alt mode. Here's some artwork of her in her robot mode. I love the head sculpt. It is fairly accurate to the one that she had in the Transformers Super God Master Force cartoon, which is the only cartoon series that Minerva has appeared in to this day. There's a zoomed out image of the same artwork that we see there on her face. Here on the top you've got the Legacy logo. On this side of the box you've got the Autobot side of the Legacy Year 1 poster. And this copy of Minerva, I actually got it off of eBay 2 months ago during October. And that's how far behind I am in actually reviewing Minerva. So, had I reviewed her the day I got her from eBay, I probably would have been one of the first 5, if not first 10, reviewers on YouTube to actually get a video review of Minerva done. But be what it may, I'm glad to finally be getting around to the review. Now, the reason why I got Minerva so early before anyone else did is because I paid a scalper on eBay to get Minerva, and the scalper got this copy of Minerva was originally supposed to be released in Hong Kong. That's what this sticker here on the back of her box states. So I was really thrilled that this copy managed to make it here to the United States so I could get her. As of this video's recording, it's a few days left in the year before the year 2022 comes to an end, and Minerva has been found at a handful of Walgreens pharmacy stores here in the United States. So Minerva is finally out and about in the U.S. as for collectors to find. So good luck to everyone finding her. So here she is in her robot mode. Here she is in her vehicle mode. Oh, and again, it's a emergency responder type vehicle. I don't know if it's like an ambulance type vehicle. I believe it is because Generation 1 Minerva had red crosses painted on her, and she does have the mostly red, mostly white paint job that ambulances have. So yeah, Minerva here is almost like a hospital type vehicle that medical doctors would need if they had to get rushed to a place right away and the patient couldn't get to the hospital in time. So that's what her vehicle mode is, and she transforms back and forth between her robot mode and her vehicle mode in just 14 steps. And that's pretty much all there is to say about Minerva. I'm super excited to finally have her. I will admit, this technically is not the first action figure of Minerva that I have in my Transformers collection. I have a tiny little Titan Master version of Minerva that came with the Cartoon exclusive Transformers Legends LGEX God Ginrai box set. But that figure is just a Titan Master, referencing the fact that Minerva was a Headmaster in the original Transformers Generation 1 line. I won't bring that Headmaster / Titan Master figure out because, as I don't really see a need to bring it out here. But I will do a size comparison of Minerva with her mold mate, that being Legacy Elita-1. And one way you can tell if you have Minerva, if you look at it from a glance, one way you can distinguish if you see this box, if you think it's Elita-1, but that it's actually Minerva. One thing to note is that the images for their vehicle modes are facing the opposite direction. Minerva's is facing this way, while Elita-1's is facing the opposite way. And of course, the big distinction here is the peg clip here on the top. Minerva's is made of cardboard, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have too much else to say about Minerva other than the fact that she's one of 3 Autobot Headmaster Juniors, is what they were known as, and that's the reason why they were called Headmaster Juniors is because these figures were only half the size of the regular-sized Autobot Headmasters that were released in 1987, and that's true with figures repainted from them, such as Nightbeat and Hosehead, who was the Hasbro's renaming of Autobot Cab. I thought I saw a few weeks ago. Actually, it might have been last month in November, but supposedly in one of the databases of upcoming Transformers figures being released in the Legacy Evolution line next year in 2023, supposedly a Voyager class figure of Hosehead is one of the figures that we're going to get in the coming year. It will be nice for Minerva to be joined by Hosehead and also Goshooter to have all of the Autobot Headmaster Juniors. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, the only retooled part that distinguishes Legacy Minerva here from Elita-1 is her different robot mode head sculpt and the fact that she has a light bar siren. Apart from that, she comes with the same weapons that came with Elita-1. The only difference is that they're done in different colors, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else is the same, and let's take and since I keep talking about comparing Minerva to Elita-1, let's get her out of her box, take a close look at her in robot mode, and do a quick size comparison. Alright, and here is Legacy Minerva out of her box and armed up with her 2 laser guns, and unfortunately, the black laser gun here is not made of black plastic. It is made out of the same clear plastic used on the larger laser gun, and it's just been spray painted black. The handle was left unpainted clear plastic, so why in the world Hasbro and Cartoon couldn't just make it out of black plastic is beyond me. I mean, if they could make black plastic out of Minerva's wheels, why not do the laser gun? But no, they had to use black paint just like Minerva's antenna, so that is very discouraging. Now, if you have Legacy Elita-1, and again, the only differences that distinguish Minerva from Elita-1 is her new robot mode head sculpt and the fact that she has a light bar siren here, being an emergency responder vehicle. So if you have Legacy Elita-1, then Minerva is unfortunately is no different than Elita-1. The same pros that Elita-1 has, such as having a fairly decent amount of articulation in robot mode, and having a fairly decent sized laser guns. Minerva is the exact same, and the flaws with this figure, such as the backpack not actually pegging into place and just staying in there by friction, and having loose joints in the ankle joint on the feet and also in the hips. It's it's the same flaws that the Legacy Elita-1 has, Minerva has as well. And fresh out of the box, her legs are very loose, just like they are on Elita-1's. Granted, Elita-1's hips aren't as loose as Minerva's are, but time will tell if that will change anything. One thing that I've done to distinguish Elita-1 and Minerva from each other further, and you can have the option of doing this if you want, is you can have the wheels on Elita-1 folded down. Although what I like to do is actually not even transform the wheels, and I like to have them sitting in the same position where they are when Elita-1's transformed into her alt mode. Granted, it makes her backpack look a little more like a Generation 1 action figure where the entire front of the vehicle ends up sitting behind her on her back, but I think it works not only for Elita-1's robot mode, but again, it's a further distinction to separate her from Minerva. And that's one thing some collectors pointed out, is that the wheels being in the official position where they're standing upward like this is a reference to how Generation 1 Minerva's arms form the entire front and side panel sections of her vehicle mode, and this is how Generation 1 Minerva's arms are shaped with the front of the car, the vehicle mode, forming a pair of shoulder towers for her. So I won't go too much into Minerva's articulation since I cover that with Elita-1, but for the only sculpted differences between the two of them being the different heads, and of course the piece on the top of the roof, which we'll get to when we get its vehicle mode. The paint job, along with the new heads, it's enough of a distinction that you can at least recognize Minerva and Elita-1 despite being mold-mates with each other, that they are distinct characters. And there are some painted highlights on Minerva and Minerva that aren't found on Elita-1, and vice versa. For instance, the different sculpted stripe sections on the pelvis, they're painted on Minerva and it's unpainted on Elita-1, and also on the wheels, Elita-1's hubcaps are painted white, so it looks like she has hubcaps and tires, and on Minerva the wheels are unpainted black plastic. So between the two of them, the amount of paint that they have is pretty much evened out between each other. And I think there's I forgot what I was going to say, but as far as the proverbial question of which of these two figures is the better use of the mold, is it Elita-1 or Minerva, I think that they are equal to each other. Neither one of them is better than the other one, because they both have their own. As individual Transformers characters, they're distinct enough from each other that neither version is better than the other one. Pretty much the only difference between them is here in the United States, availability for them. Again, Minerva is a Walgreens exclusive, while Elita-1 was released at mass retail, so there is no Walgreens pharmacy store near where you live, and you're unable to buy Minerva off of eBay, like I did, then you might have a much more difficult time getting hold of Minerva than you will of Elita-1. And that's pretty much all there is to say. Again, I don't have too much background information about Minerva to cover on, because I'm not too familiar with her as a Transformers character. Pretty much I've said all there is to say with information that I have on her. That's how obscure of a Transformers character she is to this day. But whether or not Hasbro and Takara will have a chance to finally give whether or not the Japanese exclusive Generation 1 Transformers characters who appeared in the Headmaster, Super God Master Force, Victory, and Transformers Zone will have a chance to be in the spotlight here in the United States is uncertain, but with so many Transformers Generation 1 characters who were exclusively Japanese characters back in the Generation 1 line, who knows, maybe they might have a chance to get a popularity boost here in the United States. I personally would enjoy seeing Minerva appear in a modern-day Transformers cartoon series. So the review's gone on already longer than I wanted to, and I've babbled more than I wanted to, so let's hurry up and get Minerva transformed into her alt mode and wrap up the review. Alright, so here's Minerva transformed into her alt mode. Again, she's a emergency responder type vehicle. Her Generation 1 action figure had red crosses, so she's not really a fire chief's car like Generation 1 Red Alert is. She's almost like if a chief surgeon at a hospital had their own special vehicle that they would vehicle to drive in front of an ambulance, so that's what Minerva's vehicle mode is supposed to be. I don't know if Japan still has those types of vehicles, or if they even did back in the 1980s. I don't know if any hospitals have a chief surgeon who has their own medical response unit car here in the United States. But yeah, for what it is really impressive looking here, and I'm just thrilled to finally have a fully transforming action figure of Minerva in my Transformers collection. And here's the other newly sculpted part Minerva has to distinguish her from Elita-1. She has a light bar siren on her roof, whereas Elita-1 actually has a pair of her own robot mode antenna head, because in the Generation 1 cartoon, the top of Elita-1's robot mode head actually stuck out of the roof of her vehicle mode, so it's kind of funny that they designed that there for the sake of trying to match Elita-1's vehicle mode with her animation model in the G1 cartoon. And unfortunately, due to lack of space on the underside of the vehicle mode, just like Elita-1, Minerva, her head sculpt is unable to rotate around, so she does have visible head syndrome. And the underside of the vehicle, if you look at the underside of the vehicle mode, they almost look like robots that have folded themselves into the underside height of a vehicle. So it's pretty. So depending on whether you enjoy seeing that or not, I think it's pretty nice looking there. But yes, just like Elita-1, even without the laser guns attached to the sides, the wheels roll as decently as wheels can go. And I had said at the start of the review that Minerva's wheels were black plastic. I was mistaken. Now that I've transformed her into her vehicle mode, take a look at that on the inside there of the wheels. Yes, these wheels on Minerva are made out of white plastic, and they've been painted entirely black. That is white plastic there on the pegs that are keeping the wheels in place, so that's the reason why Minerva's wheels look so shiny and glossy. Just like her black laser gun, it's black paint, so none of the parts on Minerva that are black are made out of black plastic. I stand corrected, and I think that was very stupid of Hasbro and Takara to make the wheels out of white plastic and then paint them entirely black. I mean, granted, the opposite is true, I believe, on Elita-1. Her wheels are actually black plastic, and I'm noticing that's probably one of the reasons why Elita-1's wheels aren't spinning as easily as Minerva's are. Even though the pegs here on the inside of Elita-1's wheels are white as well, that is white paint, and it's just like the outside of the hubcaps. So if you end up with paint scratching off and chipping off, and you end up seeing your copy of Legacy Minerva ends up the wheels end up turning white, you can buy a duplicate copy of Legacy Elita-1, and if you want Minerva to have wheels that are actually cast in black plastic, then you can buy a duplicate copy of Legacy Elita-1 and put her wheels on Minerva if you desire. But yeah, for whatever flaws that Minerva has, just like Elita-1, I'm just thrilled to finally have a figure for my Transformers collection. One positive thing Minerva has over Elita-1 is that the robot mode feet, which end up forming a pair of rocket boosters here on the back of the vehicle mode, on Minerva they sit in place much more securely than they do on Elita-1. I mean, just waving Elita-1 up and down of it, you can see her robot mode feet, especially this one on this side, it just wants to flop down at a moment's notice. But on Minerva, I'm actually having to apply a little bit of force to it. So at least the joints there are a little tighter on Minerva. But yeah, overall, for the final question of the review, do I recommend getting Legacy Minerva and adding her to your Transformers collection, even if you already have Legacy Elita-1? I absolutely do. This is the first and currently only action figure of Minerva that has been released by Hasbro, and I believe it's one of only 3 Minerva action figures that have been released over the years. The first one was, of course, the original Generation 1 Minerva action figure, which Hasbro repainted and released in the United States as the Generation 1 Autobot Headmaster of Nightbeat. And then, of course, there was the Titan Master Minerva figure that I mentioned that came with Takara Tomi's Transformers Legends God Ginrai figure back in 2018. Whether or not we're going to get Nightbeat repainted from this figure, or if we're going to get a brand new figure of Nightbeat is uncertain at this point, but from all the databases that have been leaked of upcoming Transformers figures being released in the Legacy line next year in 2023, Nightbeat is not one of them, so it'll be interesting to see if and when the next action figure based off of Generation 1 Nightbeat gets released, if it ends up being mold mates with Minerva and also Elita-1, or if it would be a brand new mold. But yes, I'm just really thrilled with how Minerva came out. I love her mostly white with white and red paint job on here, and the shade of blue plastic used on her windshield. It was really great, and the light bar siren, of course on top of her roof. So, thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFang. This has been my review of Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Autobot Minerva. I highly recommend you get her if you can. And until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.